live stream. Okay, now I'm live. Okay. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you wherever you are. Hey, it's your friend Anming here from the Oriental Pearl channel here in Tokyo, Japan. This is the first live stream we're doing for the new year, 2025. It's the 11th live stream I've ever done, so give me some leeway here. I'm not quite a professional yet, but I'm very happy to see you all here. Hey, Emmanuel, and hey, Marissa, Beth, everyone, welcome. It's been a while, hasn't it? I haven't made any videos for the new year, so this is the first time we've seen each other. Nice to see you again, my friend. I missed you. I really did. If you're here today watching a live stream of mine, you're one of the very special ones. So I'm happy to have you here. Akeome, akemashite omedetou gozaimasu, minasan. Happy New Year to all of you. 新年快乐。希望大家身体健康，职业成功。What should I say? that one was, I got Japanese and Chinese out of the way, Mandarin. How about some Cantonese? 新年快乐. How about some Korean here? Wusha. All right, one of my moderators here is here. Nice to have you here. And 새해 복 많이 받으세요. 여러분 안녕하세요. 아리사입니다. 오랜만이에요. Long time no see, everyone. In Korean. We're living in Japan now, but I'm trying to use all the languages I've studied over the last few years. Ninja Monkey is in the house. Nice to see you. Nathan Ninja Monkey, Happy New Year. Miss hanging out. You'll be back soon. Don't worry. Jay, nice to see you here. Carolyn, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. 明けましておめでとうございます。今年もよろしくお願いします。That is the standard thing that everyone says in Japan up until about maybe the middle of February. Then you stop saying it. Stop saying Happy New Year. But you're okay now. Purple YSN says 新年快乐，新年快乐。还有等一段时间就是中国的新年。现在就是元旦，已经过元旦了，但是在中国最大的一个节日就是春节，对吧？今年的春节就是29号，1月29号，然后就可以说新年快乐。This year is the year of the snake. If you needed that information. I'm not gonna lie, I just came back from a yakiniku party, so give me a little bit more leeway than usual. But it'll be a little more fun after having that party. It'll make the conversation more interesting. Johnny says, hello, Anming from your home state of Michigan. Hey, I'm glad Michigan is in the house. Patrick says, wow, you play violin? Yes, I do. And I haven't played it in 2025 yet. So unfortunately, I just noticed that a string popped off. So I have to get that fixed. 喝酒 yeah, 我已经喝多了不算是喝多了，我喝了3-4杯，我能喝很大的酒量，就不会醉了，所以不用担心。大家好，新年快乐 Hey everybody, Happy New Year. Drink. Don't worry, I already went to a little yakiniku party. Why is your most recent videos? Oh my gosh. My most recent video was actually about teaching in Japan. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You get put in timeout. Yeah, 5 minutes. The most recent video I did was one that was on the bucket list. There are some passion projects that I've done. One recently was the school in Shanghai. So I know a lot of people like to run their mouths online about whatever things they don't know or judge other people's skills. I spent a lot of time in China and I got my master's degree in China, taught in Chinese, had to write a 70-page master's thesis in Chinese. If that ain't enough for the haters, then nothing is going to be enough to prove to them that I know what I'm talking about. But I did do a passion project, which was going back to Shanghai in November and filming a video on the campus of Fudan University, where I got my degree. And that really meant a lot to me. And then the second passion project was perhaps a video you also saw, teaching English in Japan. So just to give you an update on what I've been making recently. And then a couple of interviews. Honestly, I really like doing those interviews, but for the viewers, it's kind of hit and miss. I know all of you here today, right now, all of you here are hardcore fans because you have to be subscribed to comment. So thank you for being a subscriber. Hi from the Netherlands. Welcome, Netherlands. You are welcome to be here. Glad to have you here from all over the world. 学习汉语最好的书是什么? What's the best book for studying Korean? And you asked me in Chinese. Interesting. The best, I haven't studied every book, but the one I'm using right now is a Japanese to Korean translation because Japanese and Korean are so related. I find it more useful to use Japanese to study Korean than using English to study Korean. So if you know Japanese, I would suggest that. If you are a Chinese speaker, as it seems you are, maybe use a book that was originally written for Chinese people learning Korean. That's called language stacking, where you can kill two birds with one stone. But today, we're talking about how to make realistic goals for 2025. Let me ask you first in the comment section, my friend, what is your language goal for 2025? What do you want to accomplish by the end of this year? I have my own goals. We're going to talk about those. But first, I want to hear yours. What is your goal? And if you're watching this after the fact, tomorrow or the next day or a year from now, you can write in the comment section what your language goals are. Let's go through them, and then I'll tell you what my secret goals are this year. All right. Speak more Mandarin. What does more mean? What is more? More than you're speaking now? My goal is to learn Indonesian. Also very vague. Finish Duolingo Japanese course. That's a lot more concrete. Start interpreting training. My goal is 600 Hanzi, 600 Chinese kanjis, Chinese characters. Okay. What else? Who else wants to share their goal for 2024? What's your language learning goal? Anything. Go ahead. Jump in there. To speak Italian. Read at least one Japanese novel every 2 months. That's a very concrete goal. I like that. Learn Japanese through Fuyu app. Okay, well, good luck with that. I mean, learn to what level? What level are you trying to get to? Somebody said, 我有兴趣学习新语言，尤其是一些欧洲语言. Okay, this Mandarin is a little bit off, but we'll take it. I understand the meaning of what you're trying to say. You want to learn you're interested in learning a new language, especially in a European language. But it should be said a little bit differently in Chinese. But you're getting there. My goal, Mitch Angel says, my goal is reading and writing in Japanese, speaking and understanding, including Japanese culture. Focus on karate practice and competition. So I see a pattern here, and it's the same for when I ask people during lessons, what's your goal with your language? You know, I do teach a little bit even now. I do some Japanese teaching and Chinese teaching. And when the new students come, I always ask them, what is your goal with this language? What are you trying to do? 会話で上手になりたい. You want to be good at speaking. Okay. So I do see a pattern with a lot of people's goals. People say, I want to be fluent in XYZ language. I want to get good at this language. I want to learn Chinese, learn Japanese, learn Korean, learn Cantonese, whatever you're trying to learn, and or get good at something. Now, I have to say that's a little bit similar to what everybody else does, Beginning of the year, I want to lose weight is kind of relative, is the equivalent of what everybody just said in here. I want to lose weight. I want to get good at a language. I want to get fluent is kind of the same thing. It's such an ambiguous statement. First, how much and what time frame and how, especially how. So there's a lot of parallels you can draw between language learning and exercise, for example, or trying to get fit, physical fitness. It's more of a long marathon rather than a short sprint. There's a lot that you can find in common with learning a new language and keeping physically fit, because it is a lifelong battle. It's not something that you just do for a couple of weeks or a couple of months and you're good for life. It doesn't work that way. Weight loss or getting fit doesn't work that way either. It's something that you have to keep up with. Basically, change your lifestyle rather than do something in a short time and then it's done. I reached my goal. Okay, now I'm done for life. Unfortunately, that's not how language learning or fitness works. It's something you have to make a part of your daily life. And that is quite time consuming, right? Ninja Monkey says he wants to create new habits. Well, of course, right? It is about creating new habits. Just eat pizza every day and you will get fit if you eat pizza every day. Probably not. Just watch a bunch of YouTube videos about language learning methods every day and you'll get really good. That's like saying just watch a bunch of fitness videos every day on YouTube and you'll get really in shape. It kills me, everyone. It absolutely kills me when I see people time and time again. I see the same screen names on the same stupid methods videos, the same people again and again, obsessing over language learning methods, obsessing over the fastest way to learn, the best way to learn, most efficient way to learn. All the other methods are a waste of time. And yet they waste hour after hour, day after day, consuming this English content and not actually learning the language. It kills me, folks. It's like watching a bunch of fitness videos and not going to the freaking gym. You'd be better off skipping the fitness videos and just going to the gym. I'll be honest, when I started learning Chinese, I completely had no connection to YouTube whatsoever. It is a distraction. I just got a Domino's advertisement. Oh no. Oh no, the irony. Oh, the irony. Well, folks, studying languages in 2024 is a lot like 2025. You're starting off in the new year and you have to make it a part of your life. Now, we do have technology that's going to make it easier for you to connect to the rest of the world. Things like Hello Talk, online lessons, online tutors make it easier and easier every year. But at the end, at the core, it's still the same. I don't care what course you're using, what method you're using, what teacher you have. None of that will make up for not putting in the work. So a lot of other YouTubers are selling courses. I'm sure you've seen everybody's selling something. Everybody's selling something, whether they made it themselves or it's a course that they're an affiliate for. The biggest factor is going to be, and no one can ever buy this, is the time you put in. This is something I cannot do for you. I cannot force you to put the time in. And when I talk about time as a beginner, you should be doing at least an hour a day. That's 7 days a week. an hour a day, 7 days a week, so 7 hours a week. I cannot make a course that will make that up for you. I cannot force you to study. It doesn't matter who your teacher is or what language method or tool or app you're using. It is so important. It is above all other things, and people forget that. So just go to the freaking gym already. Stop talking about going to the gym, or stop talking about doing the work and actually do it. That is the most important part. But today we're going to get into more details about how you can make a realistic fitness plan, a realistic language learning plan that actually is going to mean something for you. Instead of just saying, my goal is to get fluent in Japanese this year. That's so ambiguous and so huge, you're not even going to know where to start, let alone know what you need to be doing every week or every day. So we're going to get into that. But first, let me answer some of your questions. Happy New Year from Germany, M98DE. Nice to have you here. We have Christina Hansen. Hello, konnichiwa, ni hao, Miss Oriental Pearl, supermodel. How you feel about Detroit building back up? I'm very proud of my city. As you guys probably know, because you're hardcore fans, I'm from Detroit. I'm very happy. I left Detroit in 2012, and every time I go back there, it's better and better. Every time I go back, downtown Detroit is looking better and better. So I'm very proud. I'm happy. And who knows how much better yet it's going to be when I go back this year. I study full time already. How can I manage this? Plus a language at the same time. An hour seems a lot to me. An hour is bare effing minimum. That is for an Asian language. I'm not talking about Spanish. I'm not talking about Dutch. I'm talking about learning Asian languages. Because as you guys know, I have learned Chinese, Japanese, with Chinese as in Mandarin, Japanese, and Korean to fluency. And I am now studying Cantonese. And I can tell you, if you're trying to go from beginner to intermediate and you're only doing an hour of an Asian language a day, forget it. Forget it. It's not nearly enough. It will be enough as a beginner, definitely enough as a beginner to slowly make progress. But to go from beginner to intermediate in an Asian language, yeah, forget it. An hour a day is too much for you. Then it will be very, very hard to get to intermediate, let alone get to advanced. But in all honesty, you can still learn to have conversations in the beginner level. You can have conversations in Japanese with just beginner level Japanese. Not a lot of people actually get to intermediate. But yeah, it will require far more than an hour a day. So just to tell you what I did today, not that I was super incredibly productive, because I did go to a yakiniku party, but I haven't been doing well over the holidays with studying, because, you know, it's the holidays. We all get busy. We're hanging out with our friends. I did speak a lot of Japanese, but I don't count that as study time. I only did 50 hours in the last month. There's the breakdown. 50 hours of studying. And today I did 4 hours. Well, I did run for an hour, so that doesn't count. 3 hours. Hour and a half of Korean, hour of Mandarin, 20 minutes of Cantonese. And that wasn't quite my goal. So if I want to get really good at Cantonese this year and go from intermediate to advanced Korean, which is my goal, I got to do more than an hour. An hour is not going to cut it. But don't let that intimidate you, because I know I'm speaking to a lot of absolute beginners, and an hour will be enough for you. But if you want to take it to the next level, yeah, it does take more than an hour. And if you cut down your time on unproductive things, you may find you can increase that to more than an hour. Is Duolingo good? How many times have I said no? I wouldn't use it. I would not use it. I would put my money where my mouth is. And I talk about the Pod 101 series all the time. I didn't bother to contact their affiliate for the Cantonese lessons. They have a Cantonese 101. I just paid for it myself. So I paid $25 a month for that. I guess I could probably, since I'm an affiliate for their Japanese, Korean, and Mandarin, could probably contact them and get it for free, but I didn't bother. I just paid for it, $25 a month, because I like their program. Like, I think it's a really good program. I wouldn't bother with Duolingo, but maybe to make a video. I think Duolingo is bad. Change my mind. Maybe I'll make a video about that one day, because I know a lot about it, but I have never tried to use it. There are so few resources for Cantonese that maybe it wouldn't be a bad option when I run out of lessons on Cantonese Pod 101, which I'm close to running out of lessons. Just what do we have? Aaron says, I use Duo for German and it's not horrible, but it's slow. Okay. Well, Steve B says, listening comprehension in Mandarin is so hard. Oh my God. Any tips? I can express myself, but understanding kills me. Vocabulary. The more vocabulary you know, the easier that is going to be. I went hard on vocabulary with Mandarin, especially. As a beginner, I was studying 10 to 15 words a day, going into intermediate up to 20, 25. In advanced, the most I would do is 50 words a day. And by that point, the more vocabulary you accrue, the more you'll be able to pick up keywords in sentences people say, and then you'll get the gist of what they're saying. You might not understand every word in the sentence, but if you get those key vocabulary words, then you can pretty much put together what the rest of the sentence means. Vocabulary, vocabulary, vocabulary. Put that up, put your goal up to, if you're a beginner, 10 words in Mandarin a day. And keep track of those words too. Put them in a database. I don't care if it's Word or Anki or flashcards, however you want to do it. Keep track of those words. Breezy! I'm so glad to see you here today. Breezy H has been on this channel for years, 4 years now. Breezy says, Discord groups have helped my daughter with Danish movie nights. And we have Danish movie nights and conversations on top of a language learning app. That's awesome. And if you have someone to talk to, even better yet. Mr. Amigo, hello. Hello, nice to see you. Steve B says, thanks for your answer. Really appreciate it. No problem. I gotcha. And I'm going to be going through and trying to answer as many of your questions as I can. All of you that are watching, you have to be a subscriber to comment. And also only one comment per minute. I'm trying to get through as many as I can. Book Nerd for Music says, good evening, Pearl. Hey, nice to have you here. What's a good daily, hourly goal if you're serious about Japanese and Chinese and have a lot of time? Oh, gosh. You want to hear my goals? All right. My goal, and I set my goals very high. I'm not always able to achieve it, but I have before, and I've gone over. My goal every day, and I'm talking about Mandarin, Japanese, Cantonese, and Korean. I am trying to maintain 2 languages and learn 2 languages at the same time while living in Japan. I don't live in Hong Kong. I don't live in Korea. I never have. So I am studying these languages outside of those countries. And that ain't easy, but it is possible. So my goal is, I'm upping it. Last year in 2024, my goal was 2 hours of Korean every day, 7 days a week. Did I meet that? Sometimes, but a lot of times no. And 1 hour of Cantonese. So that was 3 hours of studying a day while maintaining Chinese and Japanese. So doing a little of Chinese and Japanese outside of just my daily life, but also studying a little, reading books. Oh, I got a new book. I'll show you. Whoa, it followed me? No way, it followed me. That was creepy. Maybe I didn't want it to follow me. Okay, well, anyway, it did. I got this new book. It's Hotaru no Haka, or 萤火虫之墓,萤火虫之墓, which is the grave of the fireflies. And it's got a whole bunch of other stories in here. I picked this up in Shanghai. This is my 75th or 76th novel in Chinese, not this year. Over the whole time I've learned Mandarin Chinese, this is we got to be getting close to 80. I'll have to look up how many books, but close to 80 books I've read in Mandarin, this size and this kind of content. Even though I'm not trying to improve my Mandarin, I'm trying to keep my Mandarin. So I don't live in China anymore. I have to go out of my way. So my goal is 100 books by the end of this year. And Steven says, wow, impressive, is it? All right. And there's a lot of 书面语。这本书有很多中文的书面语，就是不是口语，因为这是个小说，所以一般来说内容更复杂一点。No Grave of the Fireflies. I know, this is so sad. I picked this up in Mandarin Chinese. Isn't that so cool? I'm reading a Japanese story in Mandarin Chinese, but it actually translates very well. Translates very, very well. It's quite sad. I watched the anime a while ago in Japanese, and now I'm reading this short version of the book, and then there's other stories in here, but there's a lot of formal language. I'm getting close to 80 books in Chinese. Like, this is 200, 300 pages. 300 page long book. Most of them are about that long. It's taken a while, but I also have the same goal in Japanese to read 100 books, and I'm around 70 or 80 now. And yeah, that's one of my goals. And this is quite difficult. 抬头望去，天空被染成了橘黄色。青苔想起妈妈曾经说过，关东大地震那天早晨，云彩就变成了黄色。妈妈到哪儿去了？在防空壕里呢。消防署后面的防空壕说是250公斤的炸弹直接炸上去，那没事，用不着担心的。Reading you a page from this. I'm quite used to reading out loud in Chinese and Japanese. It's an exercise I had to do while I was a grad student at Fudan University and then a short-term grad student at Waseda. So I had to spend extra time. That's not something that, even if you can read novels in your head in another language, especially in Asian language, in Korean and Chinese or Japanese, reading them out loud is a different skill, believe it or not. Because you have to know the tones for everything. You have to know the pacing for it. And it can be a lot different. So here we go. Here's the back of it. It's a very sad scene. I think this is the scene where his sister dies. It's so sad. 到了早晨，萤火虫死了一半，掉落下来，接着将他们的尸骸埋在了坑道的入口处。你在干什么呢？我在给萤火虫造墓呀。接着低垂着头，又说道：“妈妈也在坟墓里边吗？” Oh, that's so sad. I know you guys didn't understand that. Steve, thank you for your super chat. I really appreciate that. For Steve Steele, thank you so much. It says, in the morning, all the half of the fireflies had died and fell down. And then Jiezi, which is the little sister, took their dead bodies and buried them in the entrance of a little hole. And then I think the brother said, "What are you doing?" And the little sister said, "I'm giving the fireflies a grave." And then she looked down. Jiezi is the little sister. She looked down and lowered her head and said, "Maybe mom is inside the grave too." Oh, it's so freaking sad. I cried when I saw this anime. I don't remember if I watched. I think I watched it the Japanese version, not the Chinese version, but I did watch it in China. Now I got the Chinese book. Anyway, um, if anyone doubted if I could read or not, I love to read. I'm really big on reading. That's one of my main things, but something that came a little later. I wouldn't recommend jumping right into reading Chinese and Japanese as a beginner. And by the way, before I get into the main topic of today, I owe you a thank you. Not just Steven, who just gave a super chat. Of course, I owe Steven a thank you, but I owe everyone who donated to the channel in the last month a big, big thank you, including one mysterious person, very mysterious indeed, who left a super thanks on one of my videos. I just about jumped out of my skin. I was so shocked. Somebody, and I'm gonna call them out by name here because I just couldn't believe it, donated $500 last month. I couldn't believe it. That's the biggest donation I've ever gotten on a super thanks on a video, and it just came out of nowhere. So let me pull that up real quick, because about a month ago, I had told everybody I was trying to update my equipment, right? Oh, I really want to shout this person's name out because they dropped $500. Ah, it was crazy. I can't find it. Oh no, the irony. It was a massive donation to the channel. I want to, at bare minimum, just tell you who did it. I can't find it. Why? Oh, how horrible of me. Well, if you're in the chat right now, please raise your hand and say I'm the person that donated the $500 super thanks, which is crazy. And it helped us get, oh, hey, Akasan, nice to see you. Akasan is a friend of mine. We've been doing some videos together recently, including a series watching Squid Game. But back to last month, I got this. Hey, John, thank you for your super chat, 1.99 euros. This is going to the camera fee. This is a really nice camera recommended to me by none other than Ninja Monkey. Thanks for the recommendation. It's a Sony EV, whatever. What the heck is it called? It's a nice camera, folks. And you helped me buy 1/3 of this camera. Not quite the whole thing. Not quite the whole thing. We didn't quite get there. I had to pay out of pocket for some of it. Well, pay out of pocket. Yeah, pay out of pocket. I did have to pay out of pocket for quite a lot of this, but 1/3 of it was covered by your generosity, and I appreciate that. And not only did we get this camera, but we got a better Rode microphone for the camera and all that good stuff. Check that out. I used this for the first time in the last video, so I hope you liked that. Now I'm looking at you. Look at that. And this lens is new. So this in total, it was $1,700 for this camera. It was $800 for this lens, $200 for this Rode microphone, and we also updated the GoPro because it broke. I think I spent over $3,000, maybe $4,000 in December. And that might be shocking to you. I don't think a lot of you guys realize how much it costs to run this channel. My total expenses for 2024 were I wish it was just $3,000. $35,000 to run this channel. Are you shocked? I kid you not. I freaking kid you not. Every year is about the same. $35,000 to run this channel. Aaron said, I never thought doing videos was cheap. Where is Tommy? What is Tommy doing? He's drinking some whiskey in the house somewhere. Jacob says, wow. Yeah, $35,000 a year to run the channel. Yes, because just $10,000 alone of that was a donation where I donated the money from the homeless video to the charity here in Tokyo helping the homeless. And then we have language classes, we have travel, we have the equipment that you guys helped me buy some of. But I do have a Patreon if you ever want to support me there. And there are a lot of benefits to that Patreon. I meet a lot of the Patreon members, and I also talk to them via video chat. If that's something you're interested in, you can go over there, which that's about $1,000 a month that people have donated, and that helps. But the channel is still about $3,000 every month, so it's still only covering about 1/3 of it. But here we have John, who gave a £1.99 donation. I appreciate that. Asking, what does nante-sa mean? Like, hajimemashite, nandesu-sa. So sa is a very casual thing. Be careful with when you're using that. Just use it with your friends. Don't use it with people you don't know so well. It can come off a bit catty or inappropriate. Like it's similar to the English like oh my gosh, like what do you mean? Like nante-sa is the equivalent of the English. Let me see. That's like nante-sa. Be careful who you use that with. You would use that with your friends. And then another question from D Nugget, $1.99. Alyssa, is the Dakota Teshevra is language learning. Thank you. I'm not sure who that is, but I appreciate it anyway. Usha says, that's awesome. The new camera gear. Yes, thank you. Usha is also a Patreon member, so you helped contribute to this. I really wanted this for the channel. I don't always make big announcements. No, I never make big announcements that I'm going to upgrade the quality. We're going to have better quality now. I just do it. And you notice the quality coming and getting better over time. So I don't need to announce it. And Deacon says, you missing the snow? Got 10 inches yesterday. No, I hate the snow. I already saw that up in Akita. You know, I was in Akita filming the last video. I went there 2 times. That's what you don't know. I went there once in October and then again in December because I didn't feel the video was finished. That was a passion project. That was something I really wanted to make for a long time, kind of for myself. Every once in a while, I want to make a video for myself that I really care about. I spent 30 hours editing it. I took 2 different trips to Akita. And in the end, the results were meh. And the viewers weren't as into it, but I was very artistically satisfied. And it's like I got to tell a story, a part of my life. Sid P says, you look like Ino Yamanaka. That's why I was her for Halloween last year, if you noticed. Okay. 한국으로 오세요. 지금 한국에서 살아요? 살고 있어요? 궁금해요. 한국 사람 아니죠? Okay. Oh yeah, I'm going to go back into the Korean language school. I took like a 2-month break, but I've been studying on my own. 여러분, 안녕하세요. 지금 새해 목표 뭐예요? 뭐 공부하고 싶어요? 특히 공부하고 있어요? 언어 그리고 뭐예요? 언어 공부? 일본어, 중국어, 한국어, 간통어 뭐 공부하고 있어요? Jacob donated $15. Thank you so much. Anming, I'm curious if you've traveled in Guangdong province and or Hong Kong. Of course I have. Of course. I made 2 videos about it last year. One about a Chinese street in a city next to Guangzhou called Foshan. It was a Japanese themed street in China that they shut down. And then I went to Temple Street in Hong Kong and filmed a very popular video. Pretty much paid for the trip. Thank God I went there. How does life there differ from life in Shanghai or northern cities? Aspiring TEFL teacher learning Cantonese. It's very different. Very, very different. Hong Kong and then Guangdong and Hong Kong were just two different worlds. Guangdong had a lot of space, like Foshan is very spacious. You could get a big apartment there. Hong Kong was just squeezed, but they had all the Western foods I like, all the import products in every store. It was super convenient. Tons of foreigners walking around. So those were just two different worlds. But everything in Hong Kong was super expensive. But if you like Hong Kong, um, that's probably where I'd rather live than living in mainland China again. I liked mainland China, but I was there for 6 years. I'd like to try something different. Hey, Anming, are you still learning Vietnamese? Honestly, no, nope, I'm not right now. I'm not because I really like to learn languages in depth. And I'm going from kind of more lower intermediate Cantonese and going up. I shouldn't be intermediate in Cantonese because of how little effort I put in, but I just have such a high reading level thanks to Mandarin that I can read through the intermediate material. But Vietnamese would just be way too much right now for me. I don't like to just learn pleasantries in a lot of languages. I want to know each language quite in depth, which is a terrible strategy for YouTube, let me tell you. Horrible money making strategy. Absolutely abysmally bad at making money if you want to learn languages in depth rather than just a couple pleasantries to make a video. Yeah. I recognize that it's a horrible business strategy, horrible money making strategy. I have now spent nearly 3 years on Korean and now going into 1 year in Cantonese, and I've barely made any videos about it because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. But I am going out to film tomorrow, so that'll be good to give you an update on how it's been going. But horrible business strategy, horrible. If I were really into making a lot of money, I would already have moved on to Vietnamese, but I don't feel ready because the other languages are my priority right now. Hello, I'm from China. Glad to see you. 短志长，很高兴认识你，欢迎欢迎。谢谢你给我订阅，请帮我一个忙，就点赞一下，谢谢哦。Cantonese, you will need to speak with natives to improve. I do speak with natives every week. I have a teacher from Hong Kong, and I go in there. So that's been good. That's part of my goals. All right, goals for 2024. I want to move up from kind of lower intermediate Cantonese to upper intermediate. I want to move from intermediate Korean up to advanced Korean. I'm now going into year 3. So, gosh, you wouldn't know from the videos because I have not even made a video in Korean in the last year, but I've improved a lot. So I'll be making one tomorrow, actually, for the coming of age ceremony, and one the next day. I'll be filming 2 days, and hopefully I can talk to some people in Korean because I really have come a long way. Goals for 2024. What app is the best to learn Cantonese? I'm not learning Cantonese through an app. I'm not learning it through an app. I just said I have a teacher. And he also helps me with Mandarin too, because I don't have many people to talk to in Mandarin right now, but he explains Cantonese grammar to me in Mandarin. So I have a chance to keep that fresh. And then, of course, reading. But Mr. Urban World said the late Lao Shu 5500 got me addicted to languages and then led me to finding you, Frankie Light and Xiaoma NYC. I know. And I'm trying to distance myself from those videos this year. I don't see it going in a good direction. I see it going into the death of this channel. I really do. I see the pattern. Like people just want novelty, right? On YouTube, new, either new faces or you have to one up yourself. And it's gotten to the point now where when I do videos in different languages, it's got to be like this huge slapstick humor, really, really crazy, outlandish reactions to get much interest. And that's just a dead end. It is really a dead end. I've already seen 2 channels die out. 3, if you want to mention Frankie Light, as you have, check out his channel recently. It's quite died off because of this problem. Walter Kraudweiner, the Dutch guy, also seems to have quit YouTube. Lingualizer, a guy I talked to a couple months ago, has quit making long form videos. It is a death trap for a channel unless you can continue to one up yourself. The novelty wears out quite fast. So I've been diversifying. Otherwise, this is a dead end road. This will be the death of this channel if I don't find something else to do. And I have so far, but I do have to switch audiences a little bit because I just see this going nowhere. Victor Talking is another good example. I don't know if you've watched his channel. I see the same problems that I've had in his channel, even worse, because he has mainly done the reaction content and hasn't done much outside of that. There is only so much of that that can be done without losing your audience. But whatever, that's for me to worry about, not you guys. Anyway, you guys are the hardcore of the hardcore. You're not the casual viewers. Comics Plus, Akasan says, gotta challenge yourself and your audience. Yeah, you gotta change an audience at a certain point. I think all my casual viewers have gone over the last 6 months. They're out. They're already gone. We already exchanged an audience. They're out. The people that were just watching for the slapstick humor are out anyway. GLB360, thank you for the $19.99 super chat. I really appreciate that. That's going to help to cover what I paid for the new camera. Hopefully, we'll be making lots of documentaries with that camera. I'm excited. Thank you so much. Odin Starlink said, 我觉得你的影响力在中国会比日本更大。You're absolutely right. I think I would have more influence in China than in Japan, but I do live in Japan. So every time I have to make a video, I'd have to go over to China. But you're right. I think there's less saturation and less competition there. I could make a lot more stuff. It's just a little far. But this year, I would like to make more. The real ones will always stick around. Thank you, Pearls. Yeah, they'll stick around. You guys are sticking around. We ain't dead yet. We're still living. I'm shocked I've been keeping this up for 5 years now. This should have died a long time ago. But we find ways to extend, and to keep living. It's okay, folks. You know what? At this point, I'm just glad we got this far. And the more we can do it, the better. Every year is icing on the cake. It's just better yet. And financially, I put my money in the stock market and I could probably live off the interest at this point. But I would still like to keep making videos. I do think that that's quite fun. And Tommy enjoys it too. Tommy content is always fun to see. Thank you, Gomi Cat. Why are you Gomi Cat? Garbage Cat. Gomi Cat. I like that. Yeah, Tommy is fun to see as well. So a little bit about today's topic and how you can set realistic language learning goals. Human nature. Don't we all have those dusty dumbbells we bought to work out and never used? That gym membership we signed up for and never went? That book series we bought and left sitting on the shelf to gather dust? Or that piano, guitar, flute we bought because we said we'd learn to play and we never did. My point is, haven't we all done something like this? Tell me in the chat if you have books that have been sitting for months on your shelf, or an instrument that you haven't touched in months. Some gym membership you bought that you never actually did. I think everyone has been in this situation before. And that's when we get to New Year's and we say all of a sudden, I want to do that thing that I promised I was going to do. I want to learn that language. I want to go increase my fitness or lose 30 pounds or whatever you were trying to do. Gomi Cat says so many things. Inquisitive M says that guy Xiaoma NYC is still doing well. Yes, with the White Guy Shocks Locals. Yes, and the the consequence to that is you have to keep changing the language. And like I said, that would be a good business decision for me to just learn a little bit of each language, some pleasantries, and study it for a week or two, go do a video, come back, forget it. But I don't want to do that. It's so not satisfying to me to do that. I would rather quit YouTube than do that shit. I'm sorry. I would rather quit YouTube than do that. I don't want to do that, you guys. It's not satisfying to me whatsoever. And maybe there's a market for that, but I don't want to do that. I really, really freaking don't want to do that. Okay. Not my cup of tea. I want to learn the language in depth. And if it means changing an audience, it means changing an audience. If that's what a lot of people are into, the casual viewers, let's switch. Let's get out. I'm not doing that. I'm not freaking doing that. I'm so burnt out on that. And I want to actually learn the language, not forget about it a week later. And that's fine. And that's a smart thing to do money wise. I've been learning Korean for like 2 years now, barely made any videos about it because I put a lot of time into it. And it's not something I want to just do and give up and then do another language and then give it up and then do another one, make a video, give it up, make another video, give it up, make another. I don't like the slapstick humor either. And I feel there are videos that I've made that were outside of that. There is hope, but I got to switch an audience. So maybe the ones that left the last 6 months, they're going to be gone for good. But you know what? The ones that stick around. And the new ones that we find maybe will be a better audience. Because I am just about at my wit's end with those reaction videos and the slapstick humor and it's getting more and more and more and more and more crazy. And I'm just about done, folks. I'm going to do some, but it cannot be the basis of this channel. I will quit before that happens. I just can't. I just don't like it. I don't like the direction it's going in. We can do a little different than that. We can do something a little more than that. Because I'm not on board. It's just not even fun for me at that point to keep doing that kind of stuff over and over again. I'm just not that into it. And it would be fine if it had kind of kept at the same level, but now the reactions just got to keep getting crazier and crazier, and I'm out. Like, that's too much. It's just getting silly. It's not real life. Thank you for Gib360 says, thank you for staying true to yourself. I appreciate that. It might cost me money, but it will keep my sanity and keep my creativity and just switch an audience. Like, I don't have to keep appealing to people that like pranks. I can only do so many pranks, man. All right, so we're back to your dumbbells that were sitting there, or your gym membership to Planet Fitness that you didn't use, and you paid that $10 and you didn't cancel it for 2 years. Anyone out there do that? All right, so we've all done something like that. Then we get to the new year and we say, all right, I want to start over again. I want to learn this language I've never been able to get fluent in. We've all had some grand plan, got sucked in by some flashy marketing, spent big money, and came out with nothing. And this happens all the time with language learning, which is why I have to warn you about your New Year's resolution. It really has to be something achievable and something that's not ambiguous or abstract. It has to be very concrete. Break it down into something you can do every week, if not every day. Step 1, start tracking your study hours. I'm tired of people saying, I study a lot. I'm studying. What is a lot? You tell me number-wise, hours-wise, what is a lot, and I'll tell you if it's actually a lot or not. People telling me that they've been doing Pimsleur for 3 years. I cannot believe that. The Japanese Pimsleur is supposed to take 5 months. I do Pimsleur all the time. It's supposed to take 5 months. Why are you on year 2 or 3 now? You're not sticking to the schedule. So when you say a lot, that doesn't mean it's actually a lot. What is a lot? What is actually a lot of studying? When you get to the end of the month and you did 30 hours of Japanese as a beginner, I'll let you say that's kind of a lot as a beginner. 30 hours is pretty dang good. You did good. 7 hours a week, 30 hours a month as a beginner is pretty good. You have the right to say you did a lot. That is a concrete goal that you can set. I am going to study Japanese for 1 hour every day for the next 365 freaking days, is what I want you to say. Do not tell me, Alyssa, my goal is to be fluent in Japanese. Shut up. Shut up. You're never going to get fluent like that. It's too big. It's too ambiguous. It's not concrete. It's just a bunch of horse crap, horse shit. That's what people say when they don't actually have a plan. You will not even know where to start with that. But I'm going to tell you, make your goal something so concrete you know what you're supposed to be doing every day. 1 hour, 1 hour. Again, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour every single day. By the end of this year, I want you to have 365 hours done. And then you can tell me you did a lot. It really is that simple, my friends. When you set your New Year's resolution this year for your language, do not set it in, I want to be fluent. I want to be this good. I want to be that good. Set your goal in hours right now. How many hours do you want to dedicate to Japanese this year? And then we will go from there. And if I give you any recommendations as an absolute beginner, we'll start you off for the first 6 months at about 30 minutes a day. Don't have to quite do an hour until you have a little bit of foundation. But if you want to do an hour, all the better. You'll make more progress faster. That is the biggest mistake everybody makes, though. I want to get abs, or I want to get fit. What does that even freaking mean? I want to get in shape this year. That's my goal for 2025. You ain't ever going to get in shape because you don't know what to do every day. You don't know what you're doing. You don't have a concrete goal. You just have an abstract vision dream in your head, and that usually doesn't go anywhere because you don't have a strategy. So that's one of the big problems with the influencer marketing out there. I mean, it's easy to point fingers and say, this guy's no good because he makes outrageous claims about impossible results in a fast time. Learn 25% of Japanese in just 2 weeks, or fluent in 3 months. And then whatever obvious unethical marketing they might use for this. But it's kind of playing into everybody's insecurities, right? And it's easy to make people who are kind of lost and don't know what they're supposed to be doing every day into a sucker. But I'm here to tell you what you should be doing every day, okay? Everyone in this chat right now, I know you have more spare time than you think you do. If you were to put 30 minutes or an hour into your language studies every day, 7 days a week, for the next 365 days, you're going to make leaps and bounds of progress. If I had just done that for Cantonese last year, I would have been a lot better than I am now. I kind of missed the mark last year with Cantonese. I should have had 365 hours by the end of 2024. I did not. I had about half that, which means I barely did 30 minutes a day. And that's just kind of pathetic for a full-time language learner. Shame on me. I should have done a lot more. Not using my time wisely. But the good thing about setting a goal like that is you know when you messed up. And you know when you need to be doing more. You should feel a little bit guilty every day if you didn't meet that hour. I know you're not going to meet the hour every day. I don't meet it every day either. But I feel guilty and I feel like I should have. And the next day I might do a little more just to make up for the fact that I didn't get my hour of Cantonese in. And that's the important thing. I have a goal of going to the gym 3 times every week for 90 minutes each time. Do I make it? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I make the goal 3 times a week By the end of the month, I've made the goal. I've gone over 12 hours or more, far exceeded the goal, 16 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours. And then last month, messed up. I only did 8. It happens. But the good thing about this is you have a way to track your progress. Mark Andre David said, what do you use for your learning? Currently, for Cantonese, I have a couple of books up there I could show you. I have been using Cantonese Class 101, which is from the Japanese Pod 101 series, same company. 365 hours. She's strict. Ha, that's just one language, right? If I can be completely honest, my monthly goal for language learning as a person with way too much time on their hands, my goal is 100 hours a month. That's breaking down to 3 or 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. There are times where I'll do 5 hours, and then Saturdays, sometimes I've done nothing. I'm busy. I got stuff to do, but I try to even it out to 100 hours a month. Missing that bar last month by a long shot. God, what am I at? 50? That was horrible. But, if I can get 80% there, and some months even do a little more, then I consider myself on track. It really becomes a problem when you completely fall off the horse. You didn't know where to start. Your goals were too ambiguous, too big to begin with in the first place, and you end up doing almost nothing. I heard one learner online say something like, I did 2 hours of German this month. I was like, which is equivalent to, nearly nothing. That ain't gonna work. I'm here to tell you folks that what you think is a lot is not a lot. For an Asian language, German, maybe you can get away with not doing as much as you would have to for Japanese, but you ain't gonna get away with 2 hours, 3 hours a month for Japanese. And honestly, Mark Andre David said, is Duolingo a waste of time? If you are spending 5 minutes a day on Duolingo, you are tricking yourself. You are fooling yourself into thinking you're being productive. Come on, 5 minutes a day. Do an hour. 30 minutes or an hour. Yes. So people who are doing 5 minutes a day are quite, it's a bit of a game rather than an actual study method. Johnny Flowers sent $1.99. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Johnny. It's going to the camera fund. Okay, now here's another issue. I do like putting money into language learning. I told you I spent $35,000 on this channel this month. Crazy, right? Well, that's what it takes to run it. And a lot of that, I'd say maybe 1/3 of that was language learning. I just write it off as a tax expense, right? I pay for the tutoring. It's fine. I'm trying to save time. I don't care if it costs a little more than finding a language exchange partner. Just give me a tutor. And you have to be careful with that, though. I do think it's important to put some stake in the game. I studied Cantonese 2 days ago because I had a class yesterday. That's the only reason. I'm like, I don't feel like studying. I have other stuff to do. But crap, I have that class yesterday that I paid $30 for. No, 60 because it's 2 hours. Maybe it's $25 an hour. I don't know. My Cantonese teacher, are you here today? Sometimes he's in the chat. Isn't that cool? He knows all about my channel. Are you here today? If you are, say hi. Say, "Ne homa." "Dima." Anyway, if you put something into it, you're likely to actually study more. But as a former language tutor, I've run into a problem again and again with students. They want to pay me to make their problems go away. And I feel like a lot of people are doing the same thing with YouTube language gurus, language influencers. Pay for this app, pay for this course, put the responsibility in their hands. and then you'll magically learn it. But you cannot pay away the responsibility and work of learning a language with just money. That is why I don't care what freaking method you use. I don't care what stupid book you bought. I don't care what course you enrolled in. If you are not putting the time in, that is nothing that you can buy. You cannot buy that. No one can make that up for you. I'm tired of these conversations, methods by a bunch of people who watch YouTube way more than they should. Why are you watching this in English? Why aren't you studying? For goodness, for criminy sake. It makes no sense to me. It's just people who like to BS. And then they'll go on Reddit and criticize other people's language skills. It's incredible. There's nothing that's going to make you learn just by paying money. There's nothing that's going to make you learn by the fastest method or whatever. When you're not doing enough work, I told you, do an hour a day. I'm going to beat you. Beat you into submission. You are doing an hour a day. You got that? Or maybe 30 minutes if you're a bare beginner. You got that? Okay, the common man gave $77.77. Thank you so much. Celebrating the 5th super chat on this live stream. Hello from London. Hello, hello. Nice to have you here. I'm kicking everybody's butt right now. I am your language coach, and I'm like this. I'm a bit jaded because I used to give a lot of language learning advice to my colleagues. As you know, I used to teach English in Beijing, and I had a lot of colleagues that would ask, why are you getting so good at Chinese? Like, what are you doing different than us? And I'd tell them, and we'd talk about it for a freaking hour. For a freaking hour, we'd talk about this in our office. And they're like, yeah, that totally makes sense. And this book and that sounds good. 3 months later, they're still not doing it. It's like, they'd buy the books too and wouldn't freaking read them. They just sit on their shelf, or, I mean, they had families and stuff. They're busy, but they wouldn't even make the time to do an hour a day of this. It's just like, then this is just lip service. This is just meaningless babble. At this point, if you're not putting any time into it, I don't stop asking for tips. I'm going to shove a tip up your Stop asking for tips when you are the laziest person on this planet that watches YouTube all freaking day. I'm sorry, I'm getting carried away. Oh, I need some water. Oh, this is all I hear every day. 10 years of this, folks. Because I used to give my colleagues a lot of advice. And what's your tips and tricks? My tip is you do something. Nothing is going to, no method or course or anything is going to make you study. It's like, what's the best way to build muscle in the gym? Go to the freaking gym. Stop asking me about, just get in there. Get in there first and then ask me. We'll talk about it in the gym. Language learning just got real, David Lopez says. Yes, it does. Tips and tricks is plenty of practice. Yes. Well, shouldn't that be obvious? I am an engineer. I'm good at mathematics. I'm not compatible with language learning. Well, you're not giving yourself enough credit. I would like to actually, for fun, I kind of don't want to know this, but I kind of want to take a IQ test just to prove to you guys that I don't have some huge advantage or anything, that I'm just an average person like all you folks. And it really does come down to how much exposure you get to the language rather than having some kind of talent for it or being extra smart. So maybe I will take an IQ test, but I'm kind of afraid because I think I'm just going to get a normal score, average 100, 105 score. But in the back of my mind, I kind of don't want to know because I kind of want to think I'm special. But I don't think I'm going to be. My mom has a very high IQ. My mom's coming to Japan in April, so you'll get to see her. My mom's IQ is like near genius level. She's freaking smart. Although she didn't get to go to university. She got like 134. That's like 6 points away from genius level on the IQ test. She actually got tested. She's flippin' smart. Now, if I got that score, you could say, well, you're just good at it because you're smart. But I'm not nearly as smart as my mother. Although she doesn't like learning languages, but she's really smart. She has natural talent. Maybe I'll take the IQ test. You tell me if I should take it with Tommy. I'm a little afraid because I want to hold out in the back of my mind that maybe I'm above average if I want to think that, but I probably am just going to get an average score and then live with that for the rest of my life. Oh, I only got 105. It might be so. It might be so. I don't have a really abstract thinking mind. Have you guys ever taken an IQ test? I heard it takes 2 or 3 hours to take like an official one. Johnny Flowers says, how much time should be dedicated to refreshing what you learned previously, and how much should be for new material every day? That's an excellent question, Johnny, and it totally depends on your level. See, the reason you don't have to study as much as an absolute beginner is you don't have a lot to retain. And if you don't have a lot to retain, there's not a lot you can forget. So that's why I say about 30 minutes is going to be enough as an absolute beginner to make progress in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Cantonese, whatever you're studying, Thai, Vietnamese, any Asian language. We're talking about Asian languages specifically here. That's my expertise. With European languages, you could probably get away with less. But as you move up and you go from absolute beginner to beginner, 500, 600, 700 words, you have to recall those words, whether it's through conversation or listening. You need a little more to make progress than you did as an absolute beginner. So at the advanced level, for me right now, maintaining Mandarin Chinese, I need a couple hours a week. I can't just not get any exposure to the language. But I'm not trying to improve. If I wanted to further improve my Mandarin, which is still possible, there's a lot of 书面语，就是非常就是那种专用语什么的 some like professional language or 更不用说古文，我真的没学会古文，中文的那个古言。I didn't even study like ancient Chinese or anything. If I wanted to take my Chinese like to the ultimate next level, probably not necessary, but if I did, I'd have to perhaps study 2 hours a day or so on that to improve. So the higher level you get, the more hours you need to maintain. If you're an absolute beginner, you're not really needing to maintain anything. So intermediate level, I went over this in 2 live streams ago. I broke it down like how many hours. We're going to go for 30 minutes to an hour to an hour and a half to 2 hours. If you really want it, but the more you do, the faster you will improve. So Johnny, give me an update. Tell me what level you're on and I can better answer your question. I learned by playing a Chinese video while I sleep. No, don't do that. Don't do that. How about will you at least be half asleep during it? Jim Ross says you're far from average. You are disciplined and hardworking. That is why you succeed. Well, we're talking about IQ, right? Just IQ. I have other skills. There's no doubt. I have other skills. I'm extremely creative. You guys don't know I'm like really into drawing. I'll show you my drawings one day. I think I put them on the channel once, but it's been a while. I have other gifts, especially creativity, but I might be pretty darn close to average in IQ. We'll see. I'd be pleasantly surprised if it were above, but maybe I will take an IQ test. That'd be fun, maybe. Maybe I'll get the results I don't want to see, though. 100, 105. You are dead set average. Is possible. I ain't as smart as my mom, that's for sure. Church lady gave $20. Thanks for being you. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Written language, 书面语. That's right, LQL. 书面语就是专业用语，非常正式的中文，很难懂的中文。我今天学了什么生词？我跟你讲一下。有什么书面语？ What kind of new Chinese words that I study that's considered to be like very formal. This one is 炫级. Let me show you the kanji for that. That's definitely, it's like 突然突见炫级. Yeah, this one. 玄级 is a good example of like, can you see that? I don't know if it's very clear. Not very clear. Oh, there it is. 玄级 soon 就很想突然，就是突然的意思。玄级这是我今天学的一个新的中文词，中文生词，我看书就学会了。I'm still learning new words, especially, I mean, gosh, I sometimes learn new words in English, but especially with a foreign language. 玄级, yep. LQL, 玄级. No, not that one. I got 玄级, second tone. Hugh James donated £1.99. What is the labor market like in Japan for 英语先生? 英语先生, 英語先生. So you're asking me, 英語先生. The labor market is quite saturated, and I think you'd be better off teaching English in China. Honestly, they give a lot more paid vacation. The salary compared to cost of living is a lot higher. The higher salary and lower cost of living. But a lot of people just love Japan, so they drive down the price. Recovery Anonymous says, I'm reading at an upper beginner, lower intermediate 小说小説. You're reading a novel at an upper beginner, lower intermediate level. Well, that's great. Make sure you take note of the new words. I wrote them all down here in my database, and I'm going to put these into my bigger database later on and study them one by one, including the word we just went over, 玄级. 玄级我再说一遍，就是突然的意思，这是书面语，中文的书面语。我从来没有看过这个词，就是个生词，今天学的一个新的中文词。New Chinese word for me. Especially formal words that you would never use in everyday conversation. But back to the New Year's goals, trying to stay on topic here. Setting realistic goals. I told you, try to do an hour a day, you guys. And I know you're not going to be able to do that every single day. But understand that people make big promises online, and just like gyms, you know how they make their money? You know how they make their money at language schools? From the person that comes in, pays for a year of lessons or pays for a year membership and never comes back again. It's a business. In fact, they don't make a lot of money from people like me that sign up for a class, take a class, or go to the gym 3-4 times a week. They don't make a lot of money from people like that. The guru courses are kind of the same thing. They're making money off the people that pay for it and never show up. So keep that in mind. But my honest advice is you don't need tips as much as you need to study more. The only real tip you need at the end of all this for 2025 is you need to change your life. A diet pill or a language learning pill, course, book, whatever, is not going to change you. You need to change your lifestyle habits. You want to get fit this year. You want to get good at a language this year. There's a lot of similarities. It's something you need to make part of your everyday life. If not everyday life, at least your weekly life. Every few days, you got to be doing this. You're not going to be able to get around this. I know it's something people like to say. I want to get in really good shape this year. I want to get good at this language this year. And some of them will reach their goals. Okay, I studied really hard for a week, or I went to the gym, I lost 10 pounds. And then they go back into their, bad lifestyle habits, and they forget about it. Oh, I just wanted to reach my goals so I can quit this. You can't really quit the studying with a language, it becomes a part of your life, just like a fitness routine. You can't just do it for a couple of months and drop it. I reached my goal. Okay, I'm done. Even I am on year 12 with Chinese and I'm still maintaining. It's like being on year 12 with running. You still have to run. You can't just say, okay, I can just use this skill when I want. And then, when it's inconvenient, it just set it by the wayside. It's not like that. It's something you have to keep with you every single day for the rest of your life. I don't think I use Chinese every single day now, but it's enough to maintain what I know. And it's definitely a part of my weekly life. And it will always be. And if I stop, just like if you stop or you take too much time off, you'll lose it. You will lose it. Even once you reach your goal, I lost 20 pounds. Okay, now I never have to go to the gym again. I got good at Chinese. Now I never have to study again. You'll lose it. You'll lose what you've worked at. So getting fit in 2025 and getting good at languages, there's a lot of parallels to be drawn there. You need to make it a part of your daily life. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. H-Beth gifted 1 Oriental Pearl membership. All right. That's something I need to do more of this year, is continue our series learning Japanese on memberships for YouTube and on Patreon. I promise I'm going to make more of those actually next week. Sprada 1984 said, みんな頑張って勉強する。お勉強頑張ってください。諦めないでください。Hector Reason 86 donated $4.99. Thank you. Love the channel. What are your experiences in Taiwan? That's a very complicated kanji for Taiwan, but I do know it. I have learned traditional characters. I would love to visit China this year. And then you put "" in there. I always type even with traditional characters with the Chinese pinyin system. But I had a good experience in Taiwan. I liked it a lot. I bought a lot of books that I have up there from Taiwan in Fantizi, traditional characters. So I read both. It's a little harder for me to write traditional characters by hand, but I like to read them, and I'm pretty comfortable reading them. If you want to continue to write in traditional characters, I can read it out loud. Johnny Flowers, again, I'm an absolute beginner starting Pimsleur Japanese. Okay, then we'll start you with 30 minutes and do that for the next 6 months. 30 minutes a day. I want you doing that 7 days a week. I would need you to commit to that. And then reassess yourself in about 3 or 4 months. And if you feel you're starting to plateau and like do 1 step forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 1 step back. I learned a new word, I forgot an old word. Learned a new word, forgot an old word. Isn't that the most frustrating thing in the world, you guys? I learned a new word, but I forgot something that I learned a while ago. When you get to that point where you feel that, then you're going to have to increase your study time. We'll go from 30 minutes to an hour. But Johnny Flowers, start for the next 3-4 months with 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week. And that's pretty easy to do with Pimsleur because they have those 30-minute lessons. And when you start to feel that you're forgetting old words, then we're going to move you up to 45 minutes or an hour every day, and then keep that pace. If you want to keep going further yet into perhaps upper beginner or lower intermediate Japanese, then it will require more time yet. That's the fun of it. But you can decide how far you want to go with it. That's why saying, I want to get really good at Japanese, really fluent, is a very ambiguous thing to say. And I hear it all the time. And those people have no idea. They are completely lost. And their goal is so big and so ambiguous, so not concrete, that they're just getting lost. They just totally miss the mark completely. They don't know what they should be doing. Recovery Anonymous said, I need to improve my Nihongo listening skills the most. That's a good one. That's probably one of the easiest things to improve because you have an abundance of content on the internet. And I saw so many pretty dang good channels that I found interesting on YouTube that were just input for Japanese. And they had some very interesting topics too. Now, I'm not actively listening to Japanese podcasts every once in a while, but I don't listen to like the learner material anymore. I listen to just regular podcasts for native speakers. But there were some I saw advertised on YouTube. I was like, that's a really good topic. What's it like to be a Japanese teacher in Japan? Why does everyone hate being a Japanese language teacher? I'm like, I want to listen to that. They had some really interesting topics. So look for some channels. I want to find the one. He did a really good job. I don't know if it's your level or not. Why Japanese teachers all quit. Currently, I listen to a girl named Didi Podcast for Korean. And she's one of the people that speaks that I can just listen to for hours and hours, and I don't get tired of her. Well, maybe I should write this in Japanese. なんで日本語の先生が仕事を辞める？日本語の先生。And I've seen so many of these podcasts on here that were just popping up, all these new channels. It was like an AI character and an actual guy's voice. And his voice was very easy to listen to as well. I wish I could find it. Japanese comprehensible input. And you really have to have a bit of a foundation in Japanese before this becomes really effective, especially at the level that I'm talking about, where they're going over quite complicated topics. It won't come up. Why? Yeah. Okay, well, if you type in Japanese comprehensible input, there's a whole lot of channels that do come up. Podcast. Japanese podcast, Japanese comprehensible input podcast. Although I don't recommend that to an absolute beginner because it is just going to go way, way, way over your head. That is something to aspire to, though. Dang it, I can't find it. All right, moving on. What are your impressions in Malaysia? I'll be traveling there this month. Do you speak a lot of Mandarin? Cheers from Des Moines, Iowa. I love Malaysia. I've been there 2 times. I tend to speak Mandarin to Chinese people I see, like taxi drivers, but not to regular local Malaysians walking around because a lot of them are Malay. And Malay people usually aren't fluent in Mandarin or Cantonese. They're fluent in Malay and English. But I do like Malaysia a lot. It's very hot. It'd be hard for me to live there. Des Moines. Dan Smith. I don't know how to say it. It's my own country's. It's my own country and I can't say it. Oh man, I gotta look this up. I don't know how to say it. Des Moines. Oh, this one was cute. I did see this. This is kind of cutesy for Japanese. This one up here, not this guy at the bottom. This one up here, Kazoku. Although I did find some mistakes in there, not gonna lie. I have to think of exactly. It was probably the very first episode. I noticed a small mistake in there. But generally it was pretty good and kind of funny and cutesy, entertaining. What time is it in Japan? It's 12:30 p.m., so it's getting late. But I am a night owl after all. Stop making fun of me. I don't know how to say the name of the city. It looks French or something. What is that? All right. So if you are studying a language in 2025 and you're trying to make your goals, you're doing your hour a day. Hopefully, you'll get an hour a day in, and you have some money to put forward to this goal to put some stake in the game. What would I put my money in? If you gave me a couple $100s, couple $1,000 budget this year, whatever, if you gave me a budget this year and said, I can only spend this much on language learning, what would I do with it? If you gave me a budget of just a couple $100s a year or less, I would probably go for the Pod 101 series. It doesn't give you a tutor, but it's got enough structure in there that you can go from the 100 most common words, 200 most common words to into dialogues, and then their dialogues are always very funny too. You can skip the translations. I don't like to look at translations. I think if you're relying a lot on translations, it's too hard for you. Go back to the basics, go at a little easier level. If you gave me a couple $1,000 budget and I was living in Iowa and there's no Japanese people around, I don't want it, no Cantonese people, no nothing. I'm all on my own. I would invest in something like italki and do lessons a couple times a week, 2 lessons a week. And that's how I would choose to spend my money. And that is what I'm recommending to you in 2025. If you have couple $100 budget or a couple $1,000 budget, that is what I think your money would best be used towards. Rather than buying even books or courses or anything, I'm hearing about courses that are charging people $200 a month. That's crazy to me. My budget for language learning is a bit higher. I'll spend maybe $400 a month. And I'm trying to learn multiple languages, though, right? And I put that towards mostly tutors in multiple languages. So that's crazy to me to hear $200 for a course each month. That's nuts. Like an online course without even a native speaker. Usually the native classes are going to be about $20 to $30 per hour. italki, you can schedule your time. I mean, you don't have to use italki. There's lots of different tutoring websites doing that. H. Beth said, Oriental Pearl in Japanese or Chinese, rap Eminem song, Lose Yourself. Oh my gosh. Do they have the translation online? Oh, you're gonna make me look it up. First, how do you say Eminem in Chinese? What's his Chinese name? Eminem, Lose Yourself. Lose Yourself, Chinese version. That's gonna be funny. Do they have it? Oh, Amu. They call him Amu. Oh my gosh, they have it. Another donation. I'll rap whatever you want. It's not going to be a rap. At least give me. All right, hold on a second. I see that they do indeed have it, which puts me in a situation. At least give it to me in. Oh, it's going to be traditional characters too. Oh, okay, good. They have 繁体, they have 简体字歌词。听着，如果你拥有一次机会去完成你曾经梦想拥有的一切，此时此刻，你是抓住它，还是仅仅让它流走？Then we get to his palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti. How do you say that in Chinese? Here we go. 他的手掌在出汗，膝盖发燃，膝盖发燃，双臂沉重。他的毛衣上有吐过的退迹，是妈妈做的意大利面。All right, he's nervous, but on the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs, but he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. Here we go. 他紧张透顶，但表面却异常平静，好像长主在胸。长主在胸，去引爆全场，但他忘记了 The whole crowd goes loud. He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. 写过的东西，所有人群的起哄声、是声是那么的大，他张开他的嘴巴，但一词也说不出来。You like that? As I'm not following the beat with the Chinese version, but I'm reading it correctly. Thank you, Oriental Pro, for creating rich content. I've learned so much from your videos about Asia. I'm learning Mandarin, and you totally inspired me. That's good. You didn't think I was gonna rap in Chinese. 你有没有试过用 AI 学习语言？ Have you used AI to study languages? I have not. I am not. Well, cultures are clashing. That's entertainment. Heck yeah, it is. $5 donation. Do you think one live lesson a week and Nihongo with a native tutor is enough? Wanikani, IV33, Boon Pro, grammar, vocab practice every day, reading a couple novels. That's a lot more than most people do. Well, what level are you on? Are you a beginner? If you're advanced, that's not nearly enough. But if you're a beginner, that sounds like enough. An hour a day. All of that stuff is quite good. The issue with Japanese is the reading and writing is quite complicated. It is very hard. It's overwhelming, even as an absolute beginner or even beginners. Trying to do reading, writing, speaking, listening all at once in Japanese is extremely time consuming. So I hear so many people, I want to get fluent in Japanese. I want to get fluent. I want to speak. And of course, these are all related. And ultimately, the goal, the best you can do is to get proficient in all of those. But we can't have everything, can we? And a lot of people just want to learn Japanese to speak because it sounds cool, or they want to talk to people, socialize, or they want to be able to listen to this music or anime or watch movies that they like. But if you're trying to do all the aspects of Japanese, including reading and writing, you may even want to do more than an hour as a beginner, because that's a heck of a lot. As a very, very complicated language, it's even harder than Mandarin Chinese, more time consuming as it gets into the upper levels. So I would recommend you do even more than an hour if you want to learn to read and write as well. And your ultimate goal is to learn to read novels, which I love. I completely support that. 100% go for it, man. Maybe more than an hour a day. You're going to need to start being able to read novels. C. Longman said, how are you? 非常好。我现在非常好。虽然已经很晚，但是我还有精神，别担心我。Do you know a lot of Gyongo? Yes, Gyongo. There's Gyongo and Gitaigo. So Gyongo is some kind of onomatopoeia that actually comes from an action like ame ga zaza suru, goku goku nomu, things like that. Then you have Gitaigo, which is coming from an emotion like shinzo ga doki doki suru. Your heart doesn't actually make a sound when it beats. Other people can't hear it, so that's called Gitaigo. Gyongo, Gitaigo. Yes, I've studied a lot of that. I tend to use it a little less in conversation than Japanese people do. But of course, if you go to the doctor and you're trying to describe the kind of pain you have, it's absolutely necessary to know those onomatopoeia. どのような痛みですか? シクシクしてる. Whatever's wrong with you. You have to explain it with these onomatopoeia in Japanese. H. Beth, another donation. Thank you so much. Yeah, you have to edit you rapping this song on YouTube Shorts. Oh no, I just read it off the cuff. Maybe Eminem will see you rap his song, and also because that you are also Detroit person. He might copyright strike my live stream for that. Thank you. I did not know the difference between Gyongo and Gitaigo. Yeah, they're all onomatopoeia, but like I said, Gyongo is coming from something that actually makes something physically making a sound, versus Gitaigo, which is more of an emotion, something coming from an emotion. But they're all onomatopoeia. I learned that in Nihongo Gakko. They went over that. What is your MBTI? I took that once. Koreans are so into that. Of course, my Korean teacher had to do a class about that. I forgot what mine was, but it was extroverted. I was extroverted, conscientious, blah, 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 blah. I don't remember the whole thing. But it was similar to my teacher's, so she was happy about that. Is Dashan a good Chinese speaker? God tier. Oh my gosh. Are you talking about those a-holes that sat on a couch and like reviewed people's Chinese? That was super effing cringe. Yeah, I'm gonna review people's Chinese based on some stupid short videos that they put on YouTube in a conversation buying food. Like, I was insulted by that, to be honest. I got my freaking master's degree taught in Chinese. I wrote a 70-page thesis in Mandarin, and they're going to judge my Chinese based on a couple of lines that I said on the street. Get effed. I was very insulted by those dudes. Who the F are you? This is my 13th year. And just because I don't do live streams for Chinese native speakers doesn't mean I don't have the ability to speak that way. I don't have anything to prove. Dude, look at my master's degree. Like, do I need to say more than that? And if that's not enough for people, then nothing is going to be. Every YouTuber has a different strategy, right? So there are YouTubers like, let's say, Kou Yu Lao Pao, which is he's also known as Chris Laoma. He does a lot of videos for Chinese native speakers. I do my videos targeted at English native speakers. So he'll do the whole dang live stream half in Mandarin, or I'll just mostly speak to you guys in English because you guys are from Europe, you're from America. I've nothing that I have to prove that I speak Mandarin or not, but I do videos based on my audience. And I think it's just really silly to take different YouTubers making videos for totally different audiences and say, this one's the best one because I heard him talk, super fast talking about politics and his live stream. That doesn't mean that other YouTubers can't do that. That doesn't mean that I can't do that. I did do that my entire 3 freaking years at Fudan University. But why would I do that for this audience? It doesn't make sense. I just found that very freaking pretentious and very silly. But barely any people saw that dumb video anyway, so what's it matter? Is Dashan good at Chinese? Dashan is a guy that is probably 50 or 60 years old by this point, who spent probably 30 years living in Beijing, and he does xiangsheng. He does stand-up comedy in like the Beijing accent Chinese, and he's quite famous because he performs for a Chinese audience completely. He's from Canada. Yeah, of course he's good at Chinese. But he's not on YouTube. He's not a guy that's gonna show up on English speaking YouTube. He does those live for an audience of people in Beijing. I don't think he'd be your kind of cup of tea, or most people on the English side of YouTube wouldn't find that very interesting, even with translations. But we're all trying to entertain a different kind of audience. I find it comes up in conversation again and again in my comment section. You're trying to show off, or you're trying to get attention, or go out there and like get compliments from people. I'm really freaking not. I'm doing this for entertainment. I got all the confidence build up I needed from my teachers when I was at Waseda or when I was at Shanghai. I got all the compliments I need for the rest of my life to feel confident in how much Chinese I know, and I don't have to go too far in depth to show that on the internet. What do I need to prove? It's just quite silly. Hector Reason 86 said, what is your favorite ramen shop in Tokyo? Yokohama Ramen, of course. Yeikei Ramen. Somebody said, Hugh James said, Ippudo. Ippudo is not bad. I like the real thick-based ramen sauce. That's my favorite. And it's the most unhealthy. So that's not good. All right, here's a piece of advice to everyone for when you're learning through books. We talked a lot about book learning. This is something that came to me probably. I started learning languages through novels after a year of studying Chinese and probably a year and a half of Japanese. So it came much later into my learning. Please do the Beijing accent. I can do the Dongbei accent better, but what would like a pure Beijing accent? 哇，这个特好啊，特好。I'll do like a one-liner. 这个特别好，这个特好。So they'll shorten words. 这是我的地盘儿。Beijing accent. And then the Dongbei accent, like 你干啥呀？哎呀，我的妈呀！说啥呀？你这个不争气的东西啊！ That's a little mean. I can insult people in the Dongbei dialect. Yeah, those guys. I kind of wanted to say something, but what's the point of that? It's just silly. Where is Dongbei? The northeast of China. It includes 3 provinces: Heilongjiang, Jilin, Liaoning. Those 3 provinces are Dongbei. They were formerly known as Manchuria when they were colonized by the Japanese before World War II and throughout World War II. 哈哈哈，说得很好，谢谢谢谢。你就是中国人吗？我想知道现在有没有中国人在听我的直播。By the way, it's also getting close to 1 a.m. here. Whew, what a long day. And I still have to give you a few pieces of advice that are important, especially when it comes to learning from your books. What's taught in books and apps doesn't always apply to real life, but that doesn't mean you should get too frustrated. Have you ever had this situation where you learn a word and you go to say it in real life and the other person looks at you like, Like, why did you say that? Why did you say it that way? I remember one with Chinese. I used to use the word 罕见. 罕见means rare because I used to see it in my textbook a lot. And I got pretty quickly corrected in conversation. 安明，你为什么说罕见？不要说罕见，就是少见，这是很少见的。我们不说罕见，这是书面语，口语就是少见。So you'll have to go through kind of almost on a word-by-word basis and use these words that you learned in books to sort them out into the right context. Some of them will be quite useful in conversation. Others will be more for books. And the only way to really separate those right and see if you're using things in the right context is to use them and get corrected. And I know it's a bit embarrassing when you use the wrong word, but it's okay. The more you speak, the more exposure you get to people, or the more you listen, you can kind of pick up on what words are being used in television, what words are being used in podcasts that would not, words that you've seen in books, read in books that you never hear people speak. That's very important. And it's always okay to try to use it while you're speaking and be corrected. There's no shame in that game. And I think when you get corrected, it really cements it in your mind. Like, you'll never forget that. Robert Su, 我也是中国人。好好，欢迎你。欢迎你观看我的直播。 Sleepy dumpling，是的呀，啊，你们都是中国人，太好了。有的LQL says I'm a Beijinger。哦，那太好了。你现在就在哪里呢？在美国吗？应该不在中国吧？或者有人在翻墙。Sometimes they're getting over the Great Firewall of China. um, so there's no shame in the game of getting corrected when you're reading and you get a lot of new words and you go to use them and you use them in the wrong way or in the wrong context, or it's a word that you shouldn't have said in conversation, but you can use while reading and writing. One thing that you do have to be careful about, if your main way of studying is listening, I don't want you to fall into the trap where you get very good at listening and not so good at speaking. You don't have the time to develop your oral language skills. I see this again and again in Asia when I'm teaching English, and I know all these students who have been studying English for years and years and years, basically from elementary school all the way through university. They've gotten so much exposure to English books and even English recordings and English TV shows. They can understand a lot of what I say, but when they go to speak, it's just not nearly as high level as they're listening. It's just the gap is massive. It's because they've practiced this listening skill and have not had the chance to develop their speaking skills. Do not misunderstand. These are two separate skills. There's some overlap. There's definitely overlap. You can improve your vocabulary through listening. You can pick up new words that you can learn use in conversation through listening, but do not think that just because you listen to Japanese for hours a day that you're going to automatically be good at speaking because of that. It doesn't quite translate over that simply. These are two different skills. To get good at speaking, you need to practice speaking, practice opening your mouth. Vice versa. Doesn't happen a whole lot, but in my many years of teaching, many years, we're talking about a decade of teaching, I have taught hundreds of students. I've taught Americans, I've taught Japanese, I've taught Chinese people. I've met a few students that were better at speaking than listening. And that's a rare situation because 99% of people are going to be stronger in speaking than they are at stronger in listening than they are at speaking, myself included, because you're talking about input output. It is easier to input and take in information than it is to reproduce it yourself. It just automatically is. So it's very rare to meet someone who's actually better at speaking than they are at listening. Very hard to have a conversation with them. I've had these students and they will just go on and on and on and on. And then I ask them something or I say something and they can't understand what I'm saying. So it's a very one-sided conversation. I think this helps illustrate that these are two separate skills, speaking and listening. There's overlap, but you can very easily, and most people do, get better at one than the other, depending on what you practice. And obviously, we do more listening than we do speaking. So 99% of people get a little better at listening than speaking. But I have met people that are the opposite. And man, is it weird. It was really, it's like they just go on and on and on and on. And then I just say something, they have no idea what I said. But they're also very good at just ignoring what you said and moving on. 我是格林纳达人。格林纳达. Where is 格林纳达? Please teach me. Tommy is wonderful too. I think so as well. We love Tommy. We love Tommy. Tommy is the best. Book Nerd for Music said, that is me in Spanish. I can understand it very well. I just cannot speak it back. I did not keep my studying well, and I did not practice with anyone. You'll see that a lot with immigrant families as well. The kids in the family, we're talking about second generation. The parents moved over from another country, and they speak their original parents' language in the house, but the kids always want to respond in English. They can understand perfectly what the parents said in Spanish or whatever language, but they always respond in English. And when the kids go to use Spanish or whatever language themselves, it's a bit unpolished, or some of them quite unpolished. My stepsister is the same way. If you didn't know, I do have Japanese stepsisters. That's kind of more recent. My mom got remarried last year, and her husband from a previous marriage has two half Japanese girls. And the youngest one, who's not that young, maybe 26, 27, she is not so good at speaking Japanese, but she can understand everything her mom says. She has really good listening skills. But unfortunately, when she was younger, she grew up in America, right? Went to school, all of her friends were English speakers, and she'd come home, her mom would speak to her in Japanese. Mo shukudai yatta? Mo owari? Yeah, mom, I did it already. Oh, honto ni? Yo, misete. Mom, it's upstairs. I don't have time to get it. Chotto hayaku misete kure. Okay, mom, I'll go get it. So their life was kind of like that. The mom would speak Japanese, and then the daughter would understand and respond in English. And because of that, she didn't develop the best speaking skills, which I think she could work on. But if you ask her, like when she comes to Japan, she's coming here in December, actually. Every time she comes back, it's really hard for her to speak. And she understands almost everything everyone's saying, but she's just like, ah. And her speaking skills are a bit underdeveloped compared to listening, but that happens, just so you know, and that can easily happen to you too. So remember to practice all the aspects of the language. Don't just listen for 4 hours a day without opening your mouth ever. Please don't fall into that. Balance it out. Obviously, you're going to get more listening than speaking, but you should have both. For every hour of speaking I do, I probably have 4 or 5 hours of listening or reading. But it's not nothing, right? I should probably use a little more speaking with Cantonese and Korean. It's just expensive because I'm paying for a teacher. Happy New Year, Miss Alyssa. I'm still self-learning Japanese. This is my friend Jerome in Hong Kong. 新年快乐，身体健康怎么说？三台健康 Let me look. Oh man, how do you say 健康 in Cantonese? How did I forget this? Tell me, Jerome. 健康怎么说？健康顶拱啊！唔記得啊！堅雄，身體堅雄，新年快樂！最近點啊？最近係做乜嘢啊？依家香港熱唔熱啊？ That's my effort for Cantonese. Maybe we'll use a little more. H. Beth said for Tommy to buy a treat. Oh, he would love that. Where is he? He went off with a glass of whiskey, and I haven't seen him since. Every day says, you forget things too. This gives me some encouragement. Of course I forget things, especially when I'm doing the bare minimum I should be learning with Cantonese. I only did 10 hours this month. That's pathetic. That's not even close to an hour a day. I was busy with the holidays, but I want to do an hour a day. Got to do an hour a day of Cantonese. Grenada is Chinese for Grenada, a Caribbean nation. Okay. Jerome said, that sounds really good, Miss Alyssa. And no, it's freezing in Hong Kong, 11 degrees at night. Wow. 感動啊，我唔知道，依家東京都好凍，幾凍啊。I'm working hard. I'm trying to. Yeah, it's cold in Tokyo right now too. Jerome, 早晨，晚你，依家 係做乜嘢啊？你係公司做嘢啊？ We'll ask Jerome what kind of job he's doing. To answer your previous question, 我在东京，你能分享 language laddering 的经验吗？ I don't know what language laddering is. Language stacking? I know what that is. 我在用英语学法语. That's interesting. Using English to study French. I'm not sure what language stacking is exactly what you're doing. You're using your second language, English, to learn French. That means you're getting reinforcement in English at the same time. I'm doing that with Cantonese right now. The teacher is teaching me Cantonese in Mandarin. I don't have to worry about forgetting my Mandarin because I'm language stacking. Using Mandarin to learn Cantonese is killing two birds with one stone. I'm getting practice in both at the same time, which makes things a lot faster. I've also been learning Korean through Japanese. They do not teach me in English. They always teach me in my second or third language, and that is a way to be more efficient. Tommy is crawling into a bottle. He only had one drink. Now, he was drinking at his friend's house earlier, but he has one drink right now. I didn't see him come down for any more. He's probably passed out. I bet he's passed out. He drooled on his shirt on the way home. We came home on the train, and he started drooling on his shirt. He had like a big stain. It's really bad. So embarrassing. Tommy, why? Recently, I'm seeking a career after completing university, and my aunt has recommended me to do an internship on Wednesday and ready to work for the next few months. Okay. 好正哦，好犀利。Jerome，腦神知道你今年幾歲啊？ I'm practicing my Cantonese with Jerome. And he's answering me in English. That's okay. That's okay. Matthew says, love your content. I've been learning Spanish for 3 years now, and it's been going great. What do you recommend online for best subtitle shows and for making your listening skills better? Remember, if you are using subtitles, I'm going to put this as a golden rule. If you are using subtitles, you're studying Japanese, put the subtitles in Japanese. If you're studying Korean, put the subtitles in Korean. We just watched Squid Game, and my friend did not understand Korean, so we watched it with the English subtitles. And I got to say, it's way too tempting to not listen and go and look at those subtitles and just read those. If you are really trying to make this a study session and not a I'm going to watch TV for fun session, you got to get rid of those English subtitles and just go in the full native language. It is way too tempting to just read the subtitles. It's distracting, and it's not really good for your language. It's much less effective. And if you find that, but I can't understand it without the English subtitles, then you need to go to some different material. If you're not understanding anything that's going on, less than 50%, you need to pick something easier than what you're studying now. And that's unfortunate because a lot of good programs, especially Japanese anime like JoJo's Adventure, Attack on Titan, all kinds of great anime are out there for you to watch, but they're also very hard for beginners. I wouldn't recommend starting there. If you're using subtitles to watch those, using English subtitles, you're just watching anime at that point. Don't call it studying. Don't add it to your hour of studying that day. Does not count as studying. It is not working your brain very hard either. 私は日本語を勉強してます。よかったね。いつから日本語を勉強してるんですか？結構前から勉強されてるんですか？ I thought about shadowing. I bought a shadowing 日本語を話そう book to try out because I missed shadowing from Pimsleur. Yes, Gina! Gina, I just saw your message on here. Nice to have you back. Gina if this is the Gina I believe it is, Gina has been away for a while. She had 2 twins this year, 2 babies last year, and she's been very busy, but back in the saddle with Japanese again for 2025. I'm so glad you bought those books. I highly recommend those. I think I recommended them to you. You can buy them, Nihongo Hanaso, and they're a bit dry. You know, it's not going to be as fun as watching TV, but that's a good way to work your way up to watching something more difficult, more fun. And then the enjoyable part really happens. Otto says, Anming, can you please tell me how much progress you made in your first 3 months of learning Japanese? Please tell me. I really want to know. Me learning Japanese was different from other English speakers learning Japanese because you have to understand I did know kanji already previously from Chinese. I did not know how to pronounce those kanji in the Japanese way, but I did know the meaning and I knew how to write them. So my first 3 months of Japanese were a little different than I think it would be for most Americans. We did not use a lot of hiragana, katakana. We went full into like normal Japanese sentences as they're written. When you start off learning Japanese with books, they'll write everything in hiragana. Wow, don't, not again. Stop. Well, let me just get something out then. Illustrate my point. Here's kanji kente kanken book. So when you read things in regular sentences in Japanese, it's going to have no furigana. Furigana is the readings that would go next to these. In fact, you're supposed to put the furigana down here. This is part of the test. But we started off reading sentences, I kid you not, just like this from like our very first Japanese. Obviously, they weren't this hard, but it was all kanji, regular as you would write it in Japanese normally. Now, for other books, they're going to have it all in hiragana. They're not going to torture you with this. If you're an English speaker, they'll ease you into kanji. But in the first 3 months, how much progress did I make? Back. We have this problem every time. Oh, okay. How much progress did I make for the first 3 months in Japanese? That was slow because I was in Beijing and I took a class and it was only twice a week and I was still studying a little bit of Chinese at that time. The first 3 months I didn't go very hardcore. I'd say I probably only learned the first 200, 300, 400, I don't know. The first 300 or 400 words was about it. But I was not doing more than maybe 10 hours of studying a week, which was not enough. Not quite enough to make incredible progress. And then when I got a little freer, when I had a little more time, then I added another class. So I started going to the Japanese school 4 times a week instead of 2. And then I started making some serious progress from like month 3 to month 6. So much so that my teacher noticed. Okay, I actually had a bit of a lopsided experience. I started off translating Word documents. Oh my gosh, using 繁体字. Ended up having difficulty of writing and rendering 国字. Oh wait, 繁字体. Wait, whoa, this is really small. Are we still talking about? Are we still talking about Japanese or are we still talking about Chinese now? 国字. Difficult writing and rendering 国字. DXUW. Are we talking about Japanese or are we talking about Chinese? Oh. Like 旧字体. Oh, 旧字体. 旧字体. QG Tai for Japanese. Okay. I thought you were talking about Chinese. We have a couple of Chinese speakers in the chat too that were asking me. Just got to get it straight. Roland Hatfield. Have you seen Robinson lately? No, I haven't. I haven't seen him since the summer, but we're going to do Nomad Push is a YouTuber friend of mine. and we're going to do a video together in Osaka next month. I'm very proud of Robin. He's been doing a good job. He's doing big things out there. He's supporting himself, and that's fantastic, and I wish him all the best. He's doing awesome. And he does a lot of live streams. I should do more. We are now on 2 hours. Oh my gosh. We can do a little bit longer, but yes, Robin he's got a cult personality. Kyujitai. That was my springboard to learning Japanese. I have never learned it through that, but that's interesting. If you enjoy that, if you're a history buff, that's probably the best choice for you. So I want to, for the people that have just joined, people that came halfway through, I want to know what your New Year's language learning goals are for 2025. I want to know what you hope to accomplish. How realistic is it? Are you going to go from 0 to hero in 365 days or less? Because it's already January 11th for you, 12th for me. What is your New Year's goal? I already told you guys my goal. It is to go from intermediate to starting advanced Korean by the end of the year, and to go from kind of where I am in Cantonese, like in this awkward. It's so hard to say what my Cantonese is right now because I have a much higher written and reading level, obviously. But spoken level, let's go from beginner and start intermediate by the end of this year. I wish to understand basic Japanese this year. Well, that's very doable in 365 days, but you're going to have to get at it every single day. Gina said, I passed JLPT N5 in 2023. So now I'm studying for N4. I'd probably take the test in December. Kids keep me busy. I bet you have twins. But Gina, I think that your dedication is amazing. You are definitely one of the rare ones. Mike Kuhn, this year's goal, I'll finally become fluent in Japanese. Well, Mike Kuhn, you have to ask yourself too, and everybody in here, what kept you from getting fluent in Japanese last year? How long have you actually been messing around with Japanese? How many years has it been? A lot of people will tell me, I'll ask them, how long have you been studying Japanese? They'll say 2-3 years. And if you actually break it down, the amount of hours that they spent, even though it was a long period of time, 2-3 years, was not that many hours. You could say that for my Cantonese now too. I added it up a couple months ago, and now I should continue it. Like, I think I started in February. So by the time I've done a whole year of Cantonese, I think I've only done 300 hours at best. At best. No, not even. No, I did not do an hour a day. Probably 250 hours at best. 250 hours. And for a whole year, that's not a lot. That is not a lot. I could have done a lot more. So when people tell me I've done 2, 3, 4, 5 years of Japanese and they're still beginners or they're still not able to really converse, I know that they didn't get the amount of hours that you could have done like in an intensive program in 6 months, a year. Their 5 years could have been equivalent to 1 year of an intensive program. So years doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's more about how many hours, and track your hours. I think that's the biggest thing. If I could go back and do things all over again, I would download an app. They didn't have apps when I started learning Chinese. Or they did, but it wasn't as big as it is today. 2012, they didn't have like tracker apps, but now there are apps that you can input your progress in, and I find that really helpful to keep me on track. I knew back then I was only juggling one language. Like I had an idea how much I did each day. But now juggling 4, it really helps me to keep on track. I know which ones I'm forgetting about and which ones I've given more attention to. My New Year's goal is to learn fluent Korean. Got any tips? Go back to like an hour ago in this live stream, and I went on this huge rant. I went on such a rant. Got any tips? Got any tips? Study more. I know that is such a sarcastic, smart aleck thing to say. Study more, but it's really the most important thing. I met very rarely do I meet people that are truly studying completely inefficiently the wrong way, like 100%. And they're usually the people that spend too much time on Duolingo exclusively. But what I find way more of is the people that don't study enough rather than study the wrong way. The wrong way. Or they're focusing too much on one aspect of the language or one skill and not expanding beyond that. What I noticed with people learning English as a second language is they spend far too much time reading, obviously, because they're trying to pass a test. Usually that's their motivation for learning English: pass test, pass TOEIC in Japan, or pass their college entrance exam, English test. And all their other speaking skills, listening skills are really underdeveloped. So I do often find people that are honing in on one skill too much and ignoring the others. A good Chinese app. I always talk about Pimsleur. They have Chinese for Pimsleur. They have it for Cantonese and Mandarin. Although I wish they had more Cantonese. They just had one season. It was only a month. I finished it in 30 days. And then I went over it again. Did it for another month, did a review, and I was completely out. Got nothing else. I think test 考试 is sometimes misleading. Yes, because tests and test scores make you think they're only testing one aspect, right? So you take a test like that, you could pronounce absolutely everything wrong and take the JLPT. You have no pronunciation skills in Japanese whatsoever. Can't even say konnichiwa correctly. But you could theoretically pass the test just fine. I see Chinese speakers do that all the time. They have really weak speaking skills in Japanese, but they pass that JLPT like no tomorrow. 测验考试 exam or test. At least that's how we made that distinction. 测试考试. Do you have any good tips on trying to understand or approach Ukrainian? You guys must have realized from my DNA test that I have 13.5% Eastern European heritage. And I did not mention that it is actually Ukrainian. So I can't get too mad at the people who call me Russian on the street, because I have conveniently chosen not to tell you guys that I have Ukrainian ancestry. Oh, what? I kept that from you for so long. So I can't get mad if I think I'm Russian, because I do have Ukrainian relatives. Some Ukrainian heritage, but it's only 13%. That's pretty low. I'm like 75% British. I think the Ukrainian is almost irrelevant. All right. Ukrainian grammar. Obviously, I've never studied a Slavic language, but I do know that Ukrainian and Russian are much harder than most of the Romance languages, and they take a lot more time, especially the grammar. I can't give you a lot of specifics because this is outside of my realm of expertise. But having studied 4 languages now, 4 quite hard ones, it kind of follows the same formula. You get the basic words, you learn how to introduce yourself, tell time, ask for directions, things like that, get that all out of the way, get the numbers down. And as for grammar, I don't think it's super helpful to have teachers drill grammar points into you. I think grammar is something that has to be acquired more than it is learned. It's okay to have some technical knowledge of the grammar and go through it in class. Teachers, even one-on-one teachers, love to talk about the grammar points, and that's fine. And I think as long as they're using the target language to teach, it's useful. So you can learn some of the grammar points and kind of guide your studies, kind of give you some structure. But I don't recommend doing anything like buying a grammar book unless you really have a good teacher to go through that with you and explain it in the target language, and at least get your listening practice in while they do so. And then you can make some example sentences with them. Although I did find that was kind of hit or miss with whether I got it or not, whether I really comprehended that grammar point and could use it. It was 50-50. A lot more of that came through listening. But once I heard it in the classroom or heard it used, got that kind of basic knowledge about it, and then I heard it in a TV show, saw it in a book, I recognized it, and I got the context better, and then I started to pick it up. But it didn't necessarily happen the first time I heard the grammar point. What's your opinion on tadoku, Japanese books? Tadoku, is that the name of a series? Speaking Russian to Ukrainian currently is a bit of a sensitive subject. Yeah, of course, with the war. All right, I'm going to take a few more questions here, and then I think we're going to come to our conclusion. This is now the 11th live stream. Once again, 11th one I've ever done, not the 11th one of the year. That would be incredible. The 11th one I've ever done. And I would like to talk to you more, make more of a community. You are the hardcore of the hardcore. Look, I have over 1.3 million people, subscribers on this channel, and you showed up. You showed up to this 186 people. I just want you to know that that means a lot to me. And everyone who donated as well. Like, you helped me buy this equipment. You helped make this happen. You helped make this channel a little bit better, a lot of bit better. I have not bought a new camera in 4 years. This is the first new camera in that long. So this is pretty cool. And for all the people out there on the channel, you're worth $1 million. You're worth way more than that vanity number. I think it's blown up anyway. I think that this means a lot more to have you here. いつもありがとう。Yeah, thank you too. いつもありがとうございます。皆さん。今、YouTube をやってもうすぐ5年目になるし、もう登録者が130万人いるんだけど、で、その中で、まあ、生配信に出る人あんまりいなくて、で、今、生配信切ってる皆さん、本当に特別だと思う。特別だと思います。なぜなら、登録者がこんなにいっぱいいるのに、あんまり参加しない。あんまり見てくれない。この生配信はね。だからすごくありがたいだ。私の話を聞いていただいて、誠にありがとうございます。いつも嬉しい。Queen Bianca sent $20. Thank you! OP! That is very, very, very much appreciated. じゃあ今回の生配信、中国語で話してばかりだから、多分これから日本語でやろうかな。やろうと思っています。Have you ever met Kazu? No. No. And I'm not super... What can I say? I really wanted to meet him. I really wanted to talk to him and do like... I had a topic that I wanted to talk about, and I could not for the life of me... could not for the life of me get in contact with that guy. He seems to be a good polyglot with low BS count. I don't know. I don't know the guy. And I gave up. So F that. He don't answer his messages. And I thought that was kind of crappy because I also have, at that time, that was months ago too. He had a couple, I don't know, maybe 700,000 subscribers, and I know what it's like to be that busy. I know the level of busy, right? And he ain't busy enough to not answer messages. So I tried multiple times on his Discord, on comment section, and I just gave up and I don't want to talk about him anymore. ちょっとがっかりした。なんでメッセージ返事してくれないの？ちょっと失礼じゃない？そんなに忙しくないと思うよ。何やってるんだお前。そんなに忙しいの？私も登録者100万人以上いるのに、ちゃんとメッセージ返事するよ。Okay, that's my rant. Don't send that to him. He's gonna say, wow, she's angry. いや、ちょっとね、ちょっと、ディスコードの入って、メッセージ書いたんだけど、全然返事してくれなかった。半年ぐらい。いや、1回だけじゃなくて、何回もメッセージを送ってて、返事待ってたんだけど、なかなか返事してくれなくて、がっかりした。正直に言うと、がっかりした。で、これから連絡したくない。正直に。また、また、返事してくれたら話すけど、ちょっと、自分でやりたくない。Have you met Atsugiri Jason? No, but I've seen his little clips on Japanese TV. How do you rate his book? Does he have a book? Make this rant a short. Why? I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get people mad. Where's Tommy? I think I hear someone. He probably heard me get PO'd in Japanese. 牛逼啊, xiao. I can also go on a rant. I went on a rant early. No, I didn't go on a rant in Chinese. Marcus Grant said, 日本でよく知らない人と話す small talk みたいに. Are you talking about why Kazu wouldn't maybe respond to my message because he doesn't talk to people he doesn't know? No, he's had a lot of YouTube. I haven't tried in months. I gave up and I was kind of insulted. So F that. Forget it. I don't usually do collaborations anyway. I'm kind of a lone wolf. 哈哈哈，笑死我了。All right. 你会中文吗？我跟你说，我给你发了好几个短信，你怎么不回复我啊？你这个人太没礼貌了，你这个能听懂？你这个不争气的东西怎么不回复我？好，这个说的太夸张了，我不是这个意思，开玩笑，我逗你一下，我逗你玩，我不是真心的。这个他能听懂吗？可能会生气。这个不争气的东西，我骂你，怎么不回复？Oh my gosh, I'll create a fake beef. Don't bother. I don't want to collaborate with other language streamers. I want to get away from that. I couldn't have made that more clear earlier in this stream that I want to get away from the reaction content because it's not something I see being able to survive too long. I've already seen it end for other channels. So, hey, Ninja Monkey says, have you met Dogen? I did meet Dogen, and he was very nice to me, but he didn't give you the time of day, did he, Nathan? You got to have at least 100K subscribers, Nathan. Move up. When you move up in the world, I don't know. I don't know why I wouldn't meet with you, Nathan. I don't know. I think I heard Tommy. He heard me. He heard that rant. All right. I'm glad that native Chinese speakers are not in here right now. Oh wait, maybe some of them are. Oh gosh. Pimsleur helped me a lot with pronunciation. I'm glad to hear that. I love Pimsleur, so it's something that I've used for every language. I wish they had more for languages like Cantonese or Vietnamese, but they are a business at the end of the day, and they're going to make more content for the more popular languages or more mainstream. So they have a lot for Japanese. They have 5 levels, and for Korean they had 3. For the others, a lot fewer, maybe just 1. Hey, somebody teach me how. Oh, my teacher is teaching me how to insult people in Cantonese, but I still haven't quite gotten it. So I got a little bit with Korean, although we don't use that kind of language in my classroom. I did pick up on on some nasty words that I should not use during this live stream. Of course, they use keiseki a lot. Keiseki, which is also baby dog, but it's also not a nice word. 我都听到了，你都听到了吗？你在上海都听到我骂人。Tommy 的 OF 频道叫什么？ What's Tommy's OnlyFans called? Yeah, I want to know that too. He's keeping it a secret. He's got to contribute to this household. He's also got to contribute to this household, folks. He's got to bring the money home. Do a podcast with blah, 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 and blah, 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 who I don't know and probably don't want to work with me either. So, you introduce me and get me the interview. You do the work. I don't know these people, and a lot of them are quite territorial. And forget it, I'm the lone wolf. I work with nobody. I work alone. I work with Tommy only. Hey, Tommy! Tommy! ちょっとここにおいで。顔出す。Tommy くん! He's gonna ignore me. Hey, Tommy! He's in the bathroom. Let me get him. I mean, like, he's in the shower room washing his face, not in the toilet. If he's in the toilet, we don't need to get him. Hey, Tommy. 挨拶しないの？ちょっとだけ。He is coming.
Hi.
It's Tommy. He's here. Anyone want to contribute to Tommy's Christmas present? I don't know. They want to donate to you for OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. I don't have OnlyFans page.
Not yet.
Account.
If you want Tommy to open an OnlyFans, give us a like. If you don't want Tommy to open an OnlyFans, give us a like. No matter what, give us a like. はい、いいねボタン押してください。はい、
いいね。
ひろゆきくん、2025年の新年抱負は何？何かある？
10%. Fat rate. Fat body rate.
体脂肪率 10%。
Yes.
痩せすぎじゃない？痩せすぎじゃない？ 10%. Is having a body fat of 10% for a man a little bit too thin? That's Tommy's goal.
6 packs.
昔あったけど、
そうだよ。
腹筋
そうだよ。
見えてた。
昔。
今は
Nothing.
なんで濡れてる？なんで T シャツ？なんでこのセーター濡れてるんだ？よだれ？まだよだれだ？気持ち悪い。うん。はい。じゃあ、視聴者に何か言いたいことあるの？
言いたいこと。
はい、どうぞ。
日本に来ましょう。
マイクです。
日本に来ましょう。
あとは
Please visit Japan and subscribe our channel.
What kind of videos do you want to do this year?
What kind of video? 埼玉 videos. 埼玉 videos.
マジで
Focus on
埼玉ツアー。
埼玉 Oriental Park.
They said, here is the main star, Tommy. You're the main star.
Yes.
主人公なの？
Of course.
ひろゆきが主人公。
Of course.
そうだよ。トミが主人公だ。Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
And this year we are hoping to have 2 million followers
Yes,
on
2
YouTube.
million. 2 million.
2 million
2
subscribers.
millions.
Can we do it?
Yes, we can do it. Yes.
Not at this rate, we
Yes.
can't. But if you watching now, subscribe, we'll get a little bit closer. But honestly, at the current rate, no, we will not reach that goal. At the current rate, this channel is going to die out. We need to make some videos that people like this month. Yeah.
Okay.
You deserve 10 million. Thank you. Yeah, actually, we're not doing well right now.
Okay. How about making videos every day?
Videos about what? They
Every
won't
day.
watch.
Or-
This audience will watch. This
Okay.
audience will watch any, but there's only 187 of them. Tough luck, man. The world. 残酷な世界だね。ああ。この人数でなかなか生活できないね。187
So
人。
hard.
それだけでなかなか生活できないからきつい。We have to appeal to the masses somehow, but they're quite picky. ドッキリ系しか見えない。ドッキリ系しか見てくれないね。ドッキリ系の動画。つまんないな、毎回それを作るのは。ちょっと
Okay, going
飽き
back
ちゃ
to
う。
China. Okay.
Yeah, I would do that, but all right, you want to go? When are we going back to China?
April.
You've got to start doing white woman speaks blah 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 and blows people's minds. Been there, done that, and I'm not a new face anymore. So now people just want something crazy, and it just keeps
More crazy.
getting
Okay.
crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier to the point where it's just not sustainable. Yep. That ain't gonna work anymore. Maybe if I were a new face, like a brand new person, it would work. All right.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to bed.
Okay, we're
Okay.
gonna go. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
See you next
Good
time.
night.
And we'll do another live stream next month. So thank you for joining and Happy New Year!
Happy
明けましておめでとうございます。
おめでとうございます
今年もよろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
はい。
では、
では、終わりです。
おやすみなさい。
OK。おやすみなさい。
Good night.
多分アメリカ人が見てるから昼間だ。
おはようございます。
昼間か朝かわかんない。
こんにちは。
朝。じゃあ、OK。関係ない。
Anyway.
OK。Anyway、じゃあねー。
じゃあねー
おやすみ。バイバイ。
バイバイ。
Tommy, can I kiss you?